You know, this video is specifically for those of you out there who are considering the Catholic Church, just becoming Catholic, about to become Catholic, or vehemently opposed to Catholicism. What's up, my people? Welcome back. So very glad that you are here. Man, I am legitimately excited for today's video because I'm going to talk about my favorite things about being Catholic, specifically 4 of them, why I love them, and why they are true gifts that I believe only the Catholic Church offers, and they're awesome. So let's jump right in. But before we do that, actually, just kidding. Before we jump right in, if you have liked or subscribed or commented, thank you so much. If you have not, apparently the data shows that if you subscribe or like or comment or all of the above, it it helps grow this work tremendously, especially if you're a tiny little channel such as myself. So if you would do that, like, subscribe, do all the algorithm things so that we can continue to share the cool, beautiful, good, true things about being Catholic, about being an artist, and about cars driving by. Okay, so I want to talk about 4 gifts that I believe are given through the Catholic faith. Or another way to say that might be 4 gifts that you receive from Christ when you enter the Catholic Church. And these aren't in any particular order. There's not a hierarchy. They are each equally good for different reasons. And I do want to throw out a caveat that I recognize that when we talk about Protestantism, we are talking about a wide swath of differing practices when it comes to the Christian faith. And yes, I acknowledge that these 4 gifts, although uniquely fulfilled to their fullest in the Catholic Church, are present in some degree, in some places, at some times within the Protestant branch of Christianity. So when I say in the title that these are 4 things that Protestantism can't offer you, I'm making the point that these are 4 things that in their fullest and altogether are only received in the Catholic faith. You are welcome to argue with that in the comment section below. I read all the comments and I attempt to comment on the ones that I think are worth commenting on. So that caveat said, here are the 4 things that I think are gifted to you when you become Catholic. Number 1, and this one I really did not know how much I would appreciate this particular gift until I really just dove headfirst into this particular topic. And that is, when you become Catholic, you become rooted in the fullness of Christian history. Now, in some Protestant churches, sure, there is some of that. Especially in Anglicanism. Before, a couple of weeks ago, when the Anglican Church just went bonkers and did what they did. If you don't know, look it up. But as a Catholic, you become deeply rooted in the fullness of Christian history. And the reason that that is beautiful is because, we're going through some insane stuff as Christians and as Catholics. And the beauty of being rooted in Christian history is that this is not new. This is not, all things have happened under the sun at some point before today. And when you're rooted in Christian history, you can look back and go, oh, this has happened before. Here's how these people responded. Here's how these saints handled it. Here's how this priest, bishop, pope dealt with this particular form of whatever heresy or secular insanity is going on. There's nothing new happening today. But one of the difficulties, and I would say this is especially difficult within the evangelical, non-denominational side of Protestantism, is that there isn't a Christian root. You're not rooted in history, and so you've got to just kind of hopefully make it up as you go because you can't refer back to Christian history. Or maybe I should say you don't refer back to Christian history because Christian history is Catholic. So that's the first one. When you become Catholic, you get to tap into these deeply, deeply entrenched Christian roots that go all the way back to Christ and the apostles, and it's beautiful. The second gift that you receive as a Catholic, and this one is my favorite. Well, they're all my favorites. This one is one I happen to be particularly attached to, and that is you receive the gift of Mary and the saints. Now, I recognize all four of these gifts should be videos in and of themselves. But I cannot tell you how beautiful it is to be connected to and surrounded by Mary and the saints. Our Blessed Mother is so good. I could not have fathomed how good she is in my life before becoming Catholic. And the reason that it frustrates me so much that Protestantism wholesale rejects both the Blessed Mother and the saints is because it's like going to Jesus and saying, hey Jesus, I love you, can't stand your family, and I would like to have nothing to do with them. Like imagine going to your best friend and be like, hey dude, man, you're so cool, I love hanging out with you, but I don't want anything to do with the woman that brought you into the world. I don't want anything to do with that beautiful lady who nurtured and cared for you and raised you and made sure that you were able to walk out the fullness of your purpose on the earth. I would like to not speak to or know or regard her at all, thank you so much. That seems like a pretty insane thing to say. But that's what's happening in most of Protestantism. There is a wholesale rejection of the fullness of who Mary is and the beautiful role that she longs to play in our life. And when you become Catholic, you then become connected to this incredible woman who wants to love on you and help you become a saint yourself so that you can be as near to Christ as possible. It's glorious. And that is true also of the saints. The kingdom of heaven is full of incredible people. And I guarantee you, no matter what walk of life you are in right now, there is a saint out there who has walked that same life, who can be an encouragement and a guide for you in your own spiritual journey. It's amazing. The other gift that you receive, and this one is particularly, a lot of traffic today. This one is particularly poignant to me because I'm an artist and a creative and an iconographer. When you enter into the Catholic faith, you get to be surrounded by and tap into sacred art. And growing up in Protestantism, growing up especially as a young adult in the non-denominational side of Christianity, I will tell you there's very little, if any, appreciation for genuine sacred art because it's too Catholic. And when I became a Catholic, it was like this whole treasury of beautiful spiritual images became available. And again, the reason that most Protestants don't have sacred art is because there is this belief that if we appreciate, if we venerate, if we participate in sacred art, we become idolaters. And that could not be further from the truth. Sacred art is meant to draw us up and into the heart of God. And to ignore that is to participate in heresy. There's saints like Saint Theodore the Studite who write about the importance of things like iconography and other forms of sacred art, like statues, crucifixes, rosaries, these forms of beautiful craftsmanship that are meant to draw our hearts into God. And when you become Catholic, you get to surround yourself with images that help you on your spiritual journey that are good and beautiful and true. And then lastly, and if I were going to put these in a hierarchy, I would say at the very top of these four things is number 4, and that is when you become Catholic, you get to receive a unique, intimate encounter with Christ through the Eucharist. This is, for me, especially meaningful right now, having just come back from the monastery in Oklahoma, where I was able to receive Christ in the Eucharist twice a day for multiple days. There is something wildly beautiful about the reality that Christ wants to make himself wholly present in the Eucharist so that you can consume him and receive his graces through the Eucharist so that you can become more like him. There is nothing in all of Protestantism that offers that. Sure, there's communion. That's lovely and better than nothing. Like, I remember going to a church and their level of appreciation for the Last Supper was, hey, we have this communion thing. It's in the back on a table. If you'd like to participate, you're welcome to go do so. Like, what is that? How do you take one of Christ's most important moments in his life on earth and relegate that to an ugly table in the back of the room? Like, what is that? Why would you do that? But in the Catholic faith, you get to receive the fullness, all of who Christ is, present in the Eucharist, and you get to consume that. He allows you to consume him so that he, within you, can transform you to become who he made you to be in the fullness of his presence. There is not a more beautiful gift than the Eucharist. So if you're thinking about becoming Catholic, if you're in OCIA, if you are contemplating whether or not Catholicism is true, let me encourage you that when you make the leap, when you swim the Tiber, when you cross from here to there are 4 incredible gifts. Now, there's a bunch of incredible gifts. I recognize that. But I think these 4 gifts are uniquely special for those who are coming from somewhere other than Catholicism. As a convert, I will tell you, these 4 gifts have radically transformed and altered how I walk in relationship with Jesus. And I cannot be more thankful for what Christ has given me in these 4 things. So if you're becoming Catholic, if you're thinking about Catholicism, let me encourage you, take the leap, because on the other side of this, there are incredible gifts that Christ will give you through his church. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic whatever is about to happen before you. And until I see you next time, keep climbing.